Well, as we kick off the month of June, we no doubt have a lot to talk about when it comes to the weather. Joining us now, Eric Snodgrass, Nutrient Ag Solutions. And Eric, good to talk with you again this week, buddy. I am on the road. I'm outside St. Louis, and I got to say, there's still a little bit of that smoky haze in the air from those Canadian wildfires, Eric.
Yeah, they were enormous. They were in parts of Manitoba and Saskatchewan, even parts of Western Ontario. And we just watched, prolific wildfire smoke spread across North America over the weekend. Interestingly enough, Jesse, you can kind of find the western edge of that wildfire smoke kind of running north-south in the plains. And where the wildfire smoke was not, we actually had much cooler temperatures. Now, there was also a north wind there as well, but temperatures were 15 plus degrees cooler under that smoke where there was a north wind than on the western side of it, where we had no wind and brilliant sunshine beating down. So that was interesting, and we're watching that smoke still clear today. So yes, and I'll just tell you this, Jesse, that is how close the central part of the United States was to having major spring drought issues. Okay. When the jet stream meandered north, we lost all the momentum, which you and I talked about for weeks. The one thing that, I just totally missed, I don't know if anybody else did either. I try not to look at other people's forecasts because it'll affect your own. But man, I missed all these cutoff lows. I just missed them. I missed them when I was thinking about this back in March, right? And we could have gotten stuck under a massive ridge that wildfire smoke would have been a part of a larger complex of high pressure that would have sat over the central U.S., and it didn't. We had cutoff lows that went across the south, and that's where it's been so wet. And I'll be honest with you, while they've been so dry north and they've been so wet to my south, down in the mid-south and into the southern plains, I probably shouldn't joke this way, but I jokingly referred to that area last week as the Gulf of the Mid-South, the Gulf of the Southern Plains. It's really acting as though it's what we call a brown ocean, where we're evaporating a lot of water from it as if it was an ocean. So, Jesse, it comes back to the same thing we keep talking about. The range in precipitation by rank, by percentages, I don't care what you do, but the range is enormous. The disparity, the inability for the atmosphere to share that moisture, it seems to be hyper-local problems. And I think we can't ignore that going into summer.
Well, and thinking about that, we've touched on this so many times, but these areas in the plains, the Western Corn Belt, and more, all it could take is a prolonged dry, hot stretch here this summer to cause us some problems, right, Eric?
It could, but at the same time, we have to also consider the narrative of what if it doesn't stop raining? You know what I'm saying? Like either way, you would say that it's unhealthy for the plant, right? So we think about the problems from the Red River Valley of the South through the Ohio Valley as being so very, very wet. Eastern Corn Belt cold for the last 15 days. Great Lakes have been cool. So you look at all of that and say, oh, well, it's been raining. Shouldn't the crop be amazing? And the reality is the crop needs a bit more moderate weather than it does these extremes. Now, it's a living organism. It can survive, these things in some places, but in some places it's been too much. But you're right. I'm trying hard not to convince myself, if that makes sense, not to convince myself that this pattern is going to do a complete flip. And what I mean by that is that I have some historical precedents, right? 2023 spring to summer was spring drought, summer heavy rains. And then what happened in 2024? We had flooding in the Western Corn Belt in spring all the way through June. And then August, September, October was record dry. And so you look at all of that and you're going, wait a minute, what is the flip going to look like in 2025? And can I predict it? And I'll tell you right now, the self-esteem monitor on Eric's forecasting ability is pretty low. Like I'm sitting here going, man, what do I even know what I'm doing? And I don't know. Sometimes it's healthy just to kind of get knocked a peg or two down and really make you reevaluate what you think you're seeing in the pattern. And so I think these I'll call it the next 3 weeks, Jesse. I think these next 3 weeks in the month of June will tell me if there is an answer to the question you just posed. Are we looking at a flash drought scenario midsummer? And I could paint 1,000 scenarios that could make that happen. But the reality is that the atmosphere seems to be one step ahead of me.
Let's talk about hurricane season. That is here. And, I'll make the joke that I saw a few folks who are amateur if you want to call it that, posting, or just the general public posting on social media, the GFS model's calling for a hurricane here this week in Florida, and I'm going, okay, I got to talk to Eric about that. So, I mean, walk us through the early part of hurricane season here, Eric.
Well, Jesse, here it is. Okay, here is the issue we're having. My son just started a YouTube channel last week. He loves to mow grass. He loves to stripe the lawns. I mean, it's his favorite thing. He's 12 years old. And if he could be outside right now on the mower running it, he would. But it's before 7 a.m. So he's not going to be out there doing that. I don't let him. But here's the thing. That YouTube channel, he is addicted, not addicted, but he's excited to see the number of people that have watched his content and the likes. Now, imagine if I told him that this could also be revenue generating. What do you think he's going to do? He's going to post anything and everything and try to explode it into something huge. And that's exactly what's going on right now. We have a model called the GFS, and every year in June, that model wants to produce massive hurricanes in the Gulf or in the Caribbean or in the Atlantic. It does it. It's just a way that model responds to the kind of transitional time period into this season. Mm-hmm. And so what you end up getting is you get folks that have YouTube accounts, or they have Twitter or TikTok, whatever. And like, I need these views. I got to do this. And so they will post anything, like a hurricane hitting Miami, not just a hurricane, but like a Cat 5, that the model produces. And so, yes, we have to be very, very careful with this. I would just tell you, go to your trusted meteorologists. Go to the folks that give you a clear picture, and don't try to raise hype around things. Now, that being said, this hurricane season is still forecast to be above average. National Hurricane Center has given it a 60% chance of being above average. Colorado State University, which is one of the best in the world, has also got this at above average season. And that's going to, just think about what that could do, Jesse. I've already talked to you about precipitation disparity. What if we end up tossing a tropical system in late June? Not a big one, but just something up the Gulf, go straight into the Mississippi Valley. Or what if we do get into a flash drought scenario, and it's mid-August, and the atmosphere just says, no, send up a tropical system. I will just tell you this: I'm convinced that it is going to be an incredibly tough year to market grain because of it. Because I think the market is waiting on a weather event to run, and it's going to be on a story. It's going to be on hype. And I don't know. I don't like it. I lost a little sleep over it, Jesse. So there you go.
Well, we'll keep our eyes on hurricane season, no doubt here. And it's something too that tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I'd seen that the Atlantic right now, at least temperatures are a little bit cooler than this time last year. Is that correct?
They are cooler, a lot cooler, 2 degrees Celsius cooler. Now, that may not seem like much, but when we talk about water temperatures, that's huge. And so they're much cooler than they were a year ago. But, it's the same narrative with hurricane season. It just takes one, right? It just takes one system. And the models right now are suggesting more homegrown systems. You probably heard me say that before, but these are these ones that come out of the Gulf or out of the Western Atlantic. They're not the ones that just start off of Africa and get here. They're actually predicting much more of that part of the Atlantic to be on the drier side of things. Mm-hmm. But I would just tell you, be cautious with all of it. And then we need to wait, a little bit longer in the season before we really get into that hardcore forecasting of tropical systems.
All right. Any quick notes on South America this week, Eric?
No, that's another miss, right? You and I had talked back in March, like, hey, look, we're getting dry in the eastern side of their grain belt. It's not like the most productive, but boy, if this comes back again in late April, early May, what happened? It rained, and we saw NDVI values shoot up, and we're now hearing of an even larger crop coming out. And it's being timed with a missed forecast in the U.S. for early season drought pressure in the mid-south or the southern plains or the delta, and so it's certainly interesting. So, Jesse, I'll just say this again: I think that the market, as we go into summer months, is going to be looking for a weather event to make a headline. I don't know. I would be very, very skeptical of any forecasts, including mine, just to be clear, and be skeptical of all of them because of that. So, yeah, appreciate the questions.
Well, I know agweather.com. Folks can always head there, take a look at the latest forecasts and information from you. And we touched on this last week, the Weather Intelligence newsletter. That's getting back going again, correct, Eric?
That's right. So I sent out an email to everybody that was previously subscribed to resubscribe so we get a fresh list. And I'm going to write that one later today. So we'll have it out and about.
And folks can find the sign up. Can they find that as well at agweather.com, Eric?
Tell them if they were a previous subscriber to check their email. That's the best way to do it. I will, I'll get it out there to folks, but yeah, it's going to be in their inbox.
All right. Agweather, ag-wx.com for more. As always, we appreciate it. Eric Snodgrass with Nutrient Ag Solutions. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next week on Market Talk.